Welcome to the Hunt Test Hobo Podcast, your place for truckside chats and insights into the retriever game. Whether you're just getting started or you're a seasoned handler, this podcast is another resource for tips, tricks, and insights from both the amateurs and professional trainers' perspectives. Each week, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of retriever training, sharing stories of success, overcoming challenges, and forging stronger bonds with our dogs. This is the Hunt Test Hobo Podcast. I'm Chris Rudd, your host, fellow retriever enthusiast, and student of the game. Let's dive in. Welcome to another episode of the Hunt Test Hobo Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Rudd. And man, I don't know where you all are, but in Illinois, it's a heat wave / humidity wave of like crazy. Oh my goodness. I don't like it. Heat right now with the humidity. It's like you walk outside and you're like in a shower. It's terrible, but it is not snow. So there's that. So we get one extreme or the other. Hope wherever you all are, you're staying cool. If you're one of the fine folk that are getting ready for the national amateur, good luck to you all as you guys go across the country. I'm assuming for a lot of you heading up there to the northwest. Good luck to you all. And if you're getting into the swing of things with the hunt test season, I hope everybody's having a good hunt test season and just crushing it. Just go out there and crush it. And if you don't, learn something. I can just see Tyler smiling at me, thinking like, "What is he talking about?" Well, today I got my my good buddy, my I don't know, my wife, man wife. I can't remember what Kayla called you, but something like that. Well, we figured we would do another episode together because we've been talking about some things, and I was like, you know what, this would be a good episode if we just kind of slowed down and really work through this through this topic. I think it would be a good topic no matter where you are, what level of training you have a dog. But I got some really exciting news. I finally have been, as you guys have probably realized, I've been slow to post some episodes, and that's primarily because I got a lot going on. At this stage of my life, it's been a little nutty with the new baby and then the puppies. The puppies went home Saturday, thank goodness. I mean, they're actually not that hard once there's like the 3 to 4 week is like, oh my gosh, this is hard. But then once they get the whole litter box thing figured out, it's not the end of the world. They're just cute little suckers.
I hope to figure that out when I have more than one puppy in a litter.
Yeah, the king of the singletons and king of the goldens is Tyler Brenner right now. But I'm sorry, my friend. I shouldn't joke about it. I know it's a sensitive subject.
It'll happen. We'll get the next one.
The next one will be
1.
2. It'll be 2. We'll just keep going up from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I apologize that I haven't been able to post on my regular Tuesday night, and I am considering moving that, but I don't know what day's better. I'm also trying to train as much as I can. I got some tests and cues coming up that I'm trying to get ready for, so it's just a lot to try to coordinate with guests and all that. But I got on my horse, and I got 2 guests that are going to be awesome, and one we're gonna do an interview with tomorrow, which with Jim. Oh my goodness, I can never say his name right. Jim Van Ingen, and so we're gonna join. We're gonna do an episode tomorrow. I guess he just had surgery, and I called him and I was like, "Do you got time to do a podcast?" He's like, "All I got is time. I gotta put my foot up. I can't move." So we'll see if he's long-winded or not. But anyway, he'll just spew some really good information, and I was really like, I don't know. I got giddy giggly. I don't know. He said, yeah, man, I love young dogs. And he's like, I got an 11 week old and I got a 10 week old and they're doing great. I'm like, after training, and he told me he's done 1,500 dogs. And I was like, how do you have this much enthusiasm for training at this point?
He's a freak, man. I trained with him the one time and we did like 6 sets.
Oh my!
And I was like, this is amazing. I learned so much in such a short period of time just by watching him.
Yeah.
And you know how it is. You just watch someone you kind of like obviously watch the way they react and what they allow and what they don't allow from a dog. And like there's just so many subtle differences that I could see how they all melt together to get a great end product. And I'm like, okay, I can learn a lot from this. And I've adapted from watching him the one time I've trained with him, and I'm gonna go train with him again.
Yeah.
As long as the invitation's still there, as he said. It was great. I loved it. It was really awesome.
I asked him if we could train together and record in person. He said I can't, and I don't know when I'm going to be able to train again. So he's like, he's stuck for a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But he's only 3 hours for me, so I want to make that happen and go train with him.
You should do it.
It'll be really fun. And the other guest, and that we're going to record an episode either Monday or Wednesday of next week, is Andy Attar. So I mean, how does it get much better than those two guests? It's like
very cool.
Those two, and then you. Pretty close. So anyhow,
those guys had like FCs before I was born.
Probably like 10,
like a lot of them,
like for more than 10. I don't know, a lot of FCs before you were.
Call them old, but I'm not going to call myself old.
This is where our training buddies just say, you guys just need to stop having a phone call and actually do a podcast. But what was it that we were talking about when you're like, I was 11? Oh, when I got married. That's what it was. It was my anniversary on Friday, and 16-year anniversary. And I was telling Tyler, and we were sitting there, and he goes, I was 11.
That's my favorite thing to do, because all my friends are older than me by like 10 plus years. Like, oh yeah, I graduated high school. But I was like, I was 4.
Yeah, so that I felt really old. I mean, I know I got the whole new dad bod going on, but that made me feel old when you said I got married and you were 11. You could have been like a ring bearer in my wedding. I don't know. Maybe 11's not. Oh, maybe that's a little too old. But anyway, cool. We should get the sponsors, man. Holy cow!
Yeah.
Woo. Well, speaking of the Lardy tree, I want to thank Purina Pro Plan and Ray and all those folks over at Purina for everything they do, sponsoring this and every episode of the Hunt Test Hobo podcast. They support all the dog games. They're crushing it. And, man, I couldn't dream of feeding anything else. I got these puppies eating their puppy food, and they're pooping out little Tootsie Rolls, and then they're pooping out the big old Tootsie Rolls as they get bigger. And no diarrhea, no nothing. They're just crushing it. So thank you to Purina Pro Plan. Thank you to huntemup.com. Thank you for the sponsorship and the partnership. Got great stuff on there. I just ordered more poppers because I need poppers, and I keep shooting poppers. And I used to I think I'm a little scarred by COVID when poppers were like $1 a shot. They're not $1 a shot anymore, Tyler, just so you know.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I guess you've never bought poppers. That's what Allie does for you, right?
No, the almighty Dave Aarons.
Dave Aarons?
I call
he
Mr.
loads you.
Dave.
And Dave loads you up.
He's like, I brought 5,000 more. I'm like, all right, just bring more next week.
Well, if you don't have Dave Aarons, Hunt 'em Up's got some great prices, and they work. And if AJ listens to this, I won't say the other company that he got some poppers from, and none of those suckers worked when we were training on Saturday. I was like, what the heck? Yeah. What kind of poppers are these? Yeah, and then I looked, and I was like, how in the world are the poppers from this company not work? So you can guess who it was. I'm not bashing anybody, but those poppers did not work. And it was really frustrating when you're trying to teach a younger dog the whole thing, and you're like all over yourself. And then you say bang, and your dog breaks. Just kidding. Don't ever say bang. Anyway, my dog didn't break. For the record.
Sponsors, right. Chris.
Sponsors, Hunt Test, or no. Yeah, we'll do that one too. Free sponsorship for the Hunt Test Guide. If you want to check out Clark and Lyle setups, go get yourself a membership. It's pretty reasonable now. They got it for just a year membership. You can see all of Clark and Lyle setups, and it's pretty awesome. I still go there and look all the time when I don't know what to do next in my setup. I go and I get my inspiration.
So if Tyler doesn't send me a FaceTime or send me a video of his setup, I go look and see what Clark did that week and go crush it. So check out the Hunt Test Guide. And then Retriever Foundations. If you're looking for an awesome puppy course, upland course, or the Amateur's Guide to Hunt Test Success, go check out those courses. Use discount code HOBO, HOBO, to get 10% off. Excuse me. After the last episode I did, I had a lot of people reach out and get my AM course, which I was encouraging. It helps pay the bills here and helps support the podcast so I can get more guests here to bring awesome content. Guests a little bit better than Mr. Tyler Brenner here. Just kidding, Tyler. I'm very excited for our conversation.
No, it's okay.
It's gonna
I know my worth.
I know my worth. This is best friend worth right here. And then we have a new sponsor. I'm really excited to announce that we have IHP's Man's Best Friend Calls. All right. So this gentleman who is a fellow dog man reached out and was like, hey, can I get some sponsorship on the podcast to get my calls out? I was like, absolutely. So this episode is brought to you by IHP's Man's Best Friend Calls. If you've ever lost a great dog, you have a hole that can never quite be filled. But through their custom calls, IHP can incorporate a small amount of your dog's ashes into a custom duck, or as I'm going to be getting, a goose call. Create a one-of-a-kind keepsake that you can carry into the field every season. It's a pretty special way to honor a hunting partner that gave you everything they had. Check them out at mbfcalls.com. They can do like pictures and all these really cool stuff inside on those calls if you're interested. So go check out mbfcalls.com. All right, with all of that, we're going to do two things on this episode. One is Tyler and I got random tips. This might be something that I kind of do from time to time as I think of things that don't warrant an entire episode. Is just come up with random things that maybe will help the one person. But if we help that one person, make their lives a little bit easier, then they tell a couple more people, maybe we'll change the retriever world. All right, I'm going to do mine, and then you do one of yours. Okay, my first one, this is for all the whelping breeding folks out there. I did something by accident that I think really, really helped. If I don't have so as the puppies transition from being in the whelping box to being in a pen, their space gets bigger. And I've always struggled with teaching them how to use the alfalfa pellets. And one of the problems that I've ran into is so if you feed a dog and water a dog, like these little puppies, like instantly they go and they do their business. Well, I can't always, like what a lot of breeders do is they just wash the puppies and then pick them up and put them in the and put them in the pellets. And I can't really do that because I got to feed them and go to work. I'm got 10 minutes that I can take care of the business, Well, what I figured out to do, or what happens a lot of times though, is these puppies are messy, man. They go and then they walk in their water, and then the water gets all over everything and everything gets wet. And then after they go to the bathroom, they want to lay down somewhere and they don't really know where to lay. So they kind of just don't really congregate in a good spot, and they don't want to be where it's wet. So then they go where they pooped. It's weird. I don't get why they do it, but they kind of do that. But what I did is I put a big box fan right by where the water was, mostly because I just kept seeing it get wet. But what I found was, I don't know if this really works, but it worked for this litter, is they realized that was like a warm, cool place that they could go. It was right in front of that box fan. And they would just make their little puppy piles and just boom, right there. And it would dry out everything. And I had to change way less, of the bedding material. And they found out that whelping box was where they needed to go. And I had Jeremy, one of the people that bought one of these dogs, was like, how did you train this puppy to he's so good. He hasn't had any accidents and knows exactly where to go and everything. I was like, all I did was this, and it worked so much better. Now, maybe it's just because it's a different sire than the last couple times, but I think this whole box fan thing's got legs. It keeps that whole area dry and relatively clean. So anyway, use a box fan if you're going to whelp some puppies, and the white noise helps because if you they don't keep getting woken up. So anyway.
Yeah, I think that's all good socialization stuff too. I mean, just adding different stuff in the environment for them to learn to digest and understand.
So do you think woodworking was a good thing? Because I did a bunch of that with this litter.
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's all sorts of different stuff. Like I know Gannon does all sorts of incredible different noises, and then, adding things to their environment. They've got slides, jungle gyms, freaking, they got more toys than my kid,
Yeah.
and his dogs are fearless when they come out of that whelping. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
My,
that's a big thing to try to make it fearless.
yeah. So one of my tips that I just typically just preach to everyone is just, if you're having a problem with training, stop, simplify whatever you're doing, and try and get the easiest success possible with the least amount of intervention from the trainer or the handler, and then leave. Very important. Once you get the success, leave, get out, and then really think about, okay, why did my dog do this? Have I not taught it? Are they defying me? You really sit down and dissect that before you go into your next training session and go, all right, I'm going to get them this time. Because that's not a good attitude to have. I'm going to get them is not a good attitude. So stop, simplify, success. And that's, Dan always preaches that 24/7, and just get a success, get out of there, and then obviously reevaluate and move on from there.
And the one thing is stop when you got enough.
Yeah.
That is where that's something that I do all the time in Force the Pile is like, I think I should stop, but I think if one more would reinforce it. And then you have the explosion and you're like, I should have stopped.
That happens to me every day. It happens to everybody every day. You should have just quit. And there's a lot of times where doing less really is more. And it's hard for people that are go-getters, like most dog people, to wrap their head around, because we all want to do. It's not always what the dog needs, Really do a good job of putting yourself in their shoes and trying to think like they are, because they don't all think the same.
That's good.
What's your next tip?
All right, this one's a really simple one, but whenever, if you're trying to get your dog to, let's say your dog is you're in Force the Pile or you're doing a lining drill, and your dog's giving the looking all around, they're bouncing between what you're supposed to do. And what I like to do in that situation is very common, is throw a bumper to identify the pile that you're going to go to. Well, the thing that I like to do that's right after that, if I can get them, they get the bugginess, but I can talk them into the one that I want them to go to, I say back, and then I immediately chuck another bumper so it goes over their head and
they're
lands
not
in
seeing it come from the
They're not
handler.
seeing it come from the handler. It's coming from behind them as they're en route to that destination, that pile that they just struggled to look at and weren't really confident in, or wanted to give you the middle finger. But they said, you know what, I'm going to do it the way he wants me to do it. And they commit to that. You chuck that bumper, and that bumper bounces in front of them as they're going. It brings up this prey drive. It creates the excitement. It's fun. And it just adds even more emphasis to the lesson that they just learned. It's just an awesome little way to reinforce, hey, you did the right thing. And look, it was better than you even thought it would be. The other thing that does, I also use that a lot when I'm teaching and the dog is uncertain. So maybe they're not being in a sense defiant, like I use that other example, but they're like, all right, and a good example is in Force the Pile. You stop them, they look at you, you give them a cast, and they're like, should I go? Should I not go? And it's the first time that they're doing it. They finally go, wham, hit that, throw that other one out there and get it out there. Let that excitement be built. It just adds another level of reward for them making the right decision. You got another one? Or you
I'm gonna piggyback off of that.
All right.
Fun bumpers. Throw them. People don't use that enough. They're like, oh, the dog should be rewarded from doing the work I told him to do. That's a terrible attitude to approach that with. You should give that dog as much positive reinforcement from you when you're teaching basics and teaching how to turn off pressure in different formats as possible, because they're going through people don't realize it's a very stressful situation we're putting these dogs in to make all of these decisions on their own. And the least we can do is help relieve a little bit of that anxiety by throwing those fun or happy bumpers, whatever you want to call it, in between sends on a pile, whether you're doing force pile or you're in T or a double T or whatever. Just throw some fun bumpers in between. If they did a good job, throw fun bumper.
Yeah.
Let them play. Let them relax. Don't nickel and dime their momentum over obedience on every send. Like these 2 Goldens I've got right now out of whiskey, I have put most of my focus on marking and memory, and I've been doing my handling later. Like I still built my double T, and they just finished swim by, and I just started pond corners. But like when I'm doing those pond corners and when I was doing swim by and stuff, dude, I'd let those dogs come back with the bumper and like basically walk all over me part of the time. Like I don't care. I'm not gonna make a big fetch nick correction and make a big ordeal out of some basic little dropped bumper when I'm really working on back neck back away from me in the water. You know, my primary objective is very focused, and I'm really trying not to just kill momentum outside of that. You know, so a lot of informal bumper deliveries, fun bumpers thrown back in the water or to the side or whatever you're doing, a land or water drill. You have to take those like repetitive, boring, long drills and just knock that boringness and anxiety off and just throw a fun bumper. I remember Widow was so bad with drills when she was younger, and she was also one of the first dogs I ever trained by myself without Dan with me every day holding my hand, you know? And she just had a bad attitude about repetitious stuff. And tug of war with the bumper got that dog through all of that stuff, which is super. And this goes back to like the Mark Patton podcast you did and incorporating different ways to get the dog's level of excitement high enough where they're really learning at a very consistent and, you know, aware, I don't know, rate or whatever you want to call it.
Level, whatever.
But, yeah. Like that made her life a lot better. It made my life a lot better. Like think outside the box. Don't just go send, whistle stop, send, whistle stop, send, no here. Like that's boring. Spice it up. Let them relax. You be relaxed too. Like everyone's at a drill to get through it. We all are. But if you teach the dog to be there and enjoy themselves, you're going to have a way better product and they're going to trust you more.
In shorter sessions will get you done faster.
100%.
Should put that one on a t-shirt.
Dude, we'll have a whole line of like the shirt I want to make is gonna say I don't need no field trial dog. I just need, and then a bunch of bullet points of like basically everything to build an FC.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Because I hear that from all my hunting dog clients at first. You know, they I don't need no field trial dog. I just need a dog that stops on a whistle, is completely force fetched, obedient in my house, and marks out to 400. Oh, and he's got to do that whole cast thing. You know, the hand signals.
Yeah.
Does he do the hand signals yet?
He's been here for 2 months.
Sir, it's been 3 weeks and 2 days.
Yeah, well, I used to be that guy until I got educated. Yeah, I was thinking about, I remember the moment that Dan told me, he's like, hey, do an informal take of that, you know, informal, you know, retrieve on the bumper, on the delivery, and just chuck it. And I like did it, and it felt wrong to me. Like, because I was wired, like things have to be exact. And
well,
then
I get a lot of amateur dogs that they've never thrown a fun bumper because they're scared of the dog breaking.
Yeah.
Just teach it and you won't be nervous. You know, just teach the dog to identify when it's okay and when it's not okay. And that just cleans everything up. But those are some great tips, I think, if you wanted random tips.
Yeah. I think random tips are fun, you know, because then, you know, maybe somebody got one thing out of all that. And put it in your little memory.
Let's talk about the bird, Chris.
All right, so I feel like there's like an evolution in dog training of a dog trainer that as they grow. And one thing that I'm not going to say you end with, but it's definitely like when people start talking about bird placement, they say that's a well-placed bird, and then they can actually explain to me why that's a well-placed bird. I'm like, all right.
I think the beginning dog trainer looks at where to put the gun.
Yeah.
And the end level dog trainer looks at where to put the bird.
Yeah. And then the thrower is a part of it, but it's not the most important part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. So we're going to talk about bird placement. And you hear people say that, man, I like that well-placed bird. Man, that bird's placed good. Do you remember that, how good they placed that bird at the National or whatever? You hear all this all the time. So let's break this down. What is, your definition of bird placement?
For me, a well-placed bird is a bird that if the dog does not approach the factors properly, they are not going to be able to find it on their own. Like, it's impossible for them to get to it based off of whatever factors those may be. Wind, cover, obstacles, water, all sorts of stuff. But a well-placed bird is up to the perception of that person that looks at it. A bird that I might call well-placed, another guy might go, oh, that's a contrary mark. That's silly. Well, you got to mark the bird, bro.
Yeah. So
if it fell there, you got to remember where it is. It has nothing to do with the trainability. Well, it does. Not nothing. But at the end of the day, if you're losing focus of like marking the actual fall, that's not a marking dog.
Yeah, that's a dog that follows rules and gets to the bird.
A dog that takes lines and ends up in the fall area and establishes a hunt.
Yeah.
There's a difference. And if you really watch keenly to that, you can find them. Mm-hmm. And see the differences, dog versus dog. But
yeah, the goal is to get both.
And it comes and goes. Like you'll have a dog that looks stellar and is just actually marking the birds for months. And then you might throw a setup that promotes something else and not recognize it. Or you might get on them, and then you change the dog's behaviors based off of that and the way they're looking at it. But the dog that marks the bird because they want to get the bird, at the end of the day, always wins, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. In most games.
Yeah. So let's talk about a very simple, bird placement. So when I walk up to do a setup, and you might do it differently, but I'm curious. I go and I say, okay, I'm going to be working on X, whatever it is. Like, okay, today I wanted to work on reverse order doubles. For those that are listening, a reverse order double is when the long bird is the go bird and the memory bird is the short bird. We're getting ready for derbies with autumn, and with two birds, you can kind of do one of three things. You can do a long bird first, short bird, go bird. You can do the opposite, which is what we worked on today. You can do the long bird as a go bird and the short bird as a memory, or you can have equal distance marks. And everything else is some variation of that. And it actually takes a lot of time to teach a dog how to do that right when they're very, very tight. So Vince and I set up two very well-placed birds. All right, I'll just describe my setup, and then Tyler, I'm sure we're going to get into some more. What we did is we were on a mound, and all this plays into this. And this is breaking down a mark, which leads to placement, right? We're going to talk about it. I wanted a place working on because I've been working on reversal order doubles in the yard, teaching Autumn that you go for the bird you're sent for. That's one of the factors of this scenario. Because what they want to do is they want to get the shorter bird because it's easier. It could be more enticing, whatever. There's a lot of things that go into the dog's mind. So I was thinking, I want to place these birds for both birds. I want the lines to be tight. So I did converging birds or pinch marks, where to the dog's perspective, both birds were thrown into the center of the picture. I had one gun that was at about 280 and another gun that was at maybe 100, 125. But the line to the long bird was only 20 yards off of the short bird. Okay, so it's very close. I made a decision because of how hard I already knew this was going to be, that I wanted the wind to be blowing away from that short bird. Eventually, I will incorporate the wind blowing from the short bird across the line to the long bird. But I made a choice not to do that. But the main thing I did is I put a piece of water that was only about 30 to 40 yards across. And there was a corner cheat somewhat, but it wasn't a massive corner cheat. Like you'd really have to to screw it up for it to be a factor. But it was there. Like it was part of it. But the big thing is we've had so much water. When they bailed the field, they couldn't bail the edge of the pond. So there was about a 4-foot thing of grass that was extremely tall, like up to my chest tall. So what that did is it forced, and these were standout white coat guns. Okay, whether you can do this in hunt tests with hides or whatever. What the dogs is they lose sight of those guns, which I thought was important, so that when they came up, they had to make the choice to go for the right bird. And that placement of the short bird was really critical. We put a piece of tape because we wanted to make sure that bird was not so far that it was unfair to the dog. And I placed that bird where I did so that it would not, I could, as a handler, see the dog make a clear decision to switch. All right. So that's just placement on that bird. And then I had other thing on the long bird was a slightly angled back. And I put that in a place to where if they sucked to the gun with the wind, I decided to throw that bird with the wind quartering away. All right. So that bird was an angle back throw. Plus the wind was basically coming from that gunner and going to the bird. So because my dog has been somewhat hugging a gun at the end, I don't want them to get rewarded by doing that consistently. So I placed that bird in a spot that if she did that, she would not be rewarded by giving into that, in that sense, the gunner factor. And I also had it land against a mound. And some dogs don't want to push into that mound, which would encourage that hook even more. That ended up actually not being a factor in the mark, but she did not understand when those birds were so tight, and I ended up having to do it 7 times until I got it right. Like, it was a lot, which blows my mind that she even has the stamina to do that. But I knew I had all the tools. So I tried it first. She switched. I stopped her before she could make the switch. Like I saw the clear intent and I stopped her right before it. And all I did, I didn't apply any pressure because I knew I was going to have to teach through this. I mean, I put these 2 birds extremely well placed. One was just really well placed against the other line. And then the other one was placed in a good spot in the sense of the factors all going in one way, so that they had to mark the bird and push off the gun and not hug it. So I'll just break down what I did to get through this because I believed that she was going to be able to do it. I had taught it enough in the yard, but the thing that I did not put as much thought into ahead of time was that wall of cover and
losing sight of the gun and losing sight everything.
It changed a lot more than I expected it to. I mean, we do this all the time, but with them being that tight, she was like, it was just too tempting to make the switch. So I stopped her, I cast her, and because I only had one person helping me today, I didn't have anybody else to train with. As soon as she took the cast away from that bird, there was no pressure applied besides the whistle sit. I launched because I always put 2 wingers at every station so that if I have to help teach the dog something, I have that extra winger. And I did that one. And then I tried to send her for that short bird. Well, since she was just, in her mind, corrected for going to that short gun, what do you think she did when she went to the next one? Or when I sent her for the short bird?
Oh, yeah. I'm not going there.
Well, she flared the bird. She took a good line to the bird, came up out of the water and went, I can't go back there, which is not what I was trying to teach her. I was trying to teach her you have to go.
She took it that way.
She took it that way.
You did a good job of stopping, evaluating what's going on, and go, oh, there's confusion involved.
Yep.
She doesn't understand that this is where I want her to go right now. I need to teach this.
Yep.
And teaching means no pressure.
Yep. No pressure was involved. So then I stopped her. I recalled her because she had clearly, she had ran 45 degrees across the face of the gun to go to the other side, thinking that She could not be where she was supposed to. It was I know the dog. It was a clear, I know where that bird is, but I'm not supposed to go there. So I stopped her and I cast her, and Vince knows if I do that when I'm teaching, then another bird is coming out as soon as they make the right decision. So boom, she picks that one up. So then I go, and it wasn't really 7 times. But the next time we go and we do it, we set the whole test up again. We throw the birds. She goes out. This time, she goes right past that bird. But I'll tell you what, man. When she got in the water and couldn't see that gun, she's like, I'm going to be so safe. And she ended up like 50 yards to the wrong side of the gun. But as soon as she came up, she's like, oh, I'm supposed to be over there. And she ran over there, picked up the bird. I sent her, and then I lined her up, and I said, okay, right there. Good, easy. I lined her up for that short bird, and I said her name, and she ran out there, and she got like halfway to the bird in the water, and then just like, nope, I'm going back to the long gun. I've already been there and got success. So then I had to stop her. Vince helped her get that short bird. And then what I did was the smart thing is I just threw that as a single and taught that line. And I taught the line and had her pick it up herself successfully. Then I reset it up. I threw the I threw the short bird, threw the long bird, and then she did it. The one thing we did do is, as I was like, okay, this little corner cheat that I mentioned before, I was like, we're going to make this corner cheat a little bit worse, but it's going to separate these birds out another probably 10 to 15 yards off of that line, so that I can be confident that she's looking at that short bird and not looking at that long bird. I wanted to make sure that I knew that I was sending her for the correct bird. And that's
pretty cool that she had the guts to go out there over and over and like give an attempt. That shows that she has a lot of trust in you.
Yeah,
like that, kudos to you and the dog.
Yeah, she doesn't get upset, which is really nice. Like, she's just like, all right, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get to it. And the other thing is, since she's not a fire breathing dragon, like, I think you could do that like 20 times with that dog, because she's just like, all right, I'm going to take my time and I'm going to get out there and just do it right.
Endurance is a huge deal, man. I appreciate endurance more and more every day, because the dog is level headed and thinking. Dogs that get hot are fractured. They struggle to focus when they're overheating. I mean, think about yourself, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
don't try
stressed.
And talk to me when I'm really sweaty and stressed out. I'm a jerk.
Yep. I know that.
I don't even have to be sweaty and stressed.
So I felt like that took a little bit of time to get through, but my point was just, hey, well-placed birds, like that's a scenario of well-placed birds and being intentional about what you're setting up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about other things that create well-placed birds.
Well,
what's another good example?
A lot of it is just people learning to identify factors in the landscape and the field, you know.
Well, what's the best way to do that?
Well, let's list off what a few of them are. You know, you have cover, topography.
Angle of cover is another big part of that too. Yeah,
topography, like your slope, your hillsides, especially topography leading down towards water. Like where the dog's gonna like fall down the hill and get in the pond because they're worried about getting in the water too much and not really focusing and looking out and like identifying whatever your location is. Obstacles like bushes, trees, whatever it may be. And those are kind of obstacles that I would say are not necessarily what's the word I'm looking for?
Suction?
You can't objectively approach them and go over or through them. You have to go around them. That's a different kind of obstacle than like a no-no setup where like you have a downed log and you run a mark or a blind over it. Versus like this bird was thrown behind this tree. Like I got it two of the derby marks I ran where, you know, they landed behind a tree or a bush or something like that. Or like inside, like AJ had a flyer land in the bush. Like those are different kinds of obstacles that the dog cannot objectively go over or through or under or anything like that. Like they have to go around it, deviate their line, and then make the right decision about where the bird actually is. And those just I feel like those force us to see the real marking dogs and the dogs that are just running a line that they were shown. because those dogs just get lost.
Yeah.
They need to understand how to get off track a little bit and then refocus in on that location. So bushes, trees, other gun stations that you put in the field, part of this comes down to, in reference with the gun, the beauty of a white coat is you can put your gunner anywhere. Like, you can put that person standing anywhere you want, or your stick man, whatever. And you can do the same thing for a hide, but the stick man is just so obvious, okay? Like, it's the black and white gun station. Like, that's it. It's right here. It's screaming at you. That creates a lot of suction, because that's another old fall or a potential fall area. But yeah, so topography, covers, shores, obstacles. Is there any other ones you can think of?
The
wind,
obstacles
obviously, wind is huge.
Yeah, wind is a massive one, especially in water or when it's really heavy. But the one thing that took me a long time to realize and learn is the obstacle that you pass, the dog passes and opens up to a wide open space on one side.
Like a visual blocker.
Yeah. And that one,
those are crazy. They do weird stuff.
Yeah, so like that one is something that I didn't really understand why forever my dog would make a turn behind that object.
It's just like, whoa, what's over here?
Well, I didn't
see this from over there.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's
they can't help but look. They cannot help but look.
And I think dogs are kind of think symmetrical a little bit, and so when they're running through with this object in their brain, the picture dramatically changes, and they just naturally compensate to the new open area in their peripheral vision, which creates this suction that causes them to run behind that. And that is something that took me a long time to learn that that's what the dogs were doing. So that is a huge factor, especially on a long mark. And long is all relative in that scenario.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, one of my favorite things to do, and I talk to you about this all the time, is the retired en route single. I am constantly finding myself changing the dog's perspective en route to birds on a regular basis. Because I feel like it makes them a better marker. They're less reliant on seeing the gun all the time.
So let's talk about each one of these factors that you listed off. One factor that you always have to consider to some degree, unless you're getting ready for the Grand, because then it doesn't really matter anymore because the wind is just going to be whatever the wind is for that day.
Yeah.
But that's like national, like the Hunt Test national events is kind of unique in that format. Because most other
they're preset.
Because they're preset based on the prevailing wind that they think will be there for the week. That doesn't mean
more of it's about the sun than the wind.
Yeah, lately
I think they're way more worried about setting a visual than they are the wind, which I don't blame them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
White ribbon.
Yeah, as people say, let's get some white ribbons on those grand birds. Anyway, wind is a huge factor that you can use to your advantage. And I think about shaping my dog's like tendencies a lot with wind and where I put birds with certain marks. And I used to throw a ton of, I still do. Like I teach all my dogs to go back to a place board so that I can throw marks for them out to about 100, 120 yards. And get on the e-bike, look like the Wicked Witch of the West, and drive around with my little basket of birds. And I throw my birds. And what I do a lot of times is I go to my first spot and I say, okay, I'm running this dog. This dog is an outside in marker. Okay. It's an outside in marker. So I'm going to put this bird where they have been because what a lot happens with the outside in markers on an angle back bird is they start outside of the mark, but then they work their way in because they think they're going to run into it. And then they end up directly behind the gun, right? Does that make sense? Like they're coming from the outside, and the bird's here, and then they miss it. And so what I will constantly do is I'll throw that angle back bird with the wind, because if they're in between me and the gunner, or me and the bird, they can't find it. They have to push off and look for it. Just like that mark I described, what I did for Autumn. But my point to all that is that when I'm throwing birds for my dogs in that scenario, like I'm in like a field with some moderate cover where they can't see it, but it's not crazy, is I watch what they did on the previous mark. And when I drive to the next station, I change the placement based on what they did. So if they approach that bird and they're way outside of it, right? They're way outside of it. Where do I put the next bird? More inside. And I shape their hunt test. I shape I change the placement of the bird to help them realize what they're doing. And I constantly change where that bird is to encourage them to mark and hunt differently. Because I think dogs get stuck in these patterns based on where the hide is or where the gun is. And that's something I need to constantly remind myself, is that like when I'm just running the dog and I'm standing 100 yards away, I can't exactly see what's going on. But when I'm throwing for my dogs, I can see what I need to do to shape them to think a little bit differently than what they're thinking. And I think it creates a better marking dog doing that placement that way.
Oh, yeah. And that's a big advantage you have by being able to go and throw for your own dogs and doing it in the way you do.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
So put the wind in a place, not always. Like if you're trying to encourage your dog to win and have a success, put the wind that if they make all of the necessary factors along the way, that they're rewarded with the bird at the end. If you need to challenge them more, you can put a bird in a different spot that makes them have to hunt and have to find that bird. I think there's value. There's a ton of value in doing that. And that's what I think makes good bird placement.
Yeah, you can't just do one thing.
Yep.
And I like Danny Farmer's point to like, what do you say? I throw birds that are hard to get to and hard to find.
Yeah.
Like, and that's important because that makes a gutsy dog that will go out there and just dig. Because if you don't punish them for effort consistently, they're going to give you all the effort in the world, and you slowly make those hunts harder and harder to get the bird, and it's just another mark to that dog at that point. If they can do that nasty, big, heavy cover fall area on a big bird that's tough to get to, they'll do anything.
Yep.
And starting that out as you're building those dogs is, I feel like, important, and letting them hunt, letting them learn how to feel their nose out. And like what I've done with building Boomer is like the perfect picture in my mind. Got him through basics, obviously just, did a bunch of combination of just marking drills and just young dog experience, building him from the ground up through basics. And then I pheasant hunted that dog, and I was like holding on to him by like a piece of dental floss the whole time. Like, I just let him hunt the whole countryside, and that dog knows how to dig a bird out, man. Like, and I think that's important. He's getting all this other experience outside of marking and outside of like setups when I was like upland hunting that dog, where he would just learn how to really put on a nice hunt and track and pay attention to all those little things. And part of that just made him a more mature dog too. But combining that with like tough bird placement with a tough way to get out there, nothing scares him. He's just like, whatever. Show me the next bird, whatever.
Yep.
And promoting the right pictures. From day one, I was putting a bunch of stickmen out there and teaching them to look through the picture, look through the picture, look through the picture. And starting him off like that, and then now I'm tapered him into more of the HRC stuff. He's like right there with Autumn, essentially, and understanding like how to put it all together. It's really tough when you're trying to teach a dog to play every single game there is, because you have to do it all at the same time.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we covered how you can use wind. What was the second thing you listed off?
We had cover. Did we talk about cover?
We haven't really talked about cover.
Cover.
So a lot of times getting that bird right on the backside of that cover, man, those dogs that don't have courage don't want to push through it at the very end or you can play that as a significant factor along the way. I think the hard thing is when a dog thinks that it's an impenetrable piece of cover that they have to go around, and when it's actually something they can go through. That's something that I've made a mistake through a few times. Like, oh, you don't think you can actually go through this. You're not defying me. You don't think you can go through it. So what do? You walk up closer, you just hand throw it through. You walk through it by yourself with them, then you throw a few through it with them, and they're like, oh, I can do this. And then you slowly back up. But anyway,
that
might be something that I just had to do with somebody. So maybe that's why it's fresh in my mind.
One of my favorite cover related marks is like, okay, so the tractor mows around a blob of trees and it's all like cut like super short around this blob of trees, like a small blob. Say it's like a little keyhole of trees. And they threw this at the derby I ran. The gunner's like way out in the open. It's like at the bottom of a big hill, and the dog just gets all this speed running down the hill. And they have a lane on the left and the right of this blob of cover that they can just run to hell.
Yeah, it's a V. So the point of the V, the bird lands like I'm going to say
in this cover
in the crotch
in
of
a
the cover,
blob. Yes,
right?
and it's just a blob in the middle of a giant like cut yard, basically a big cut hayfield. But there's just so many other places to go. But the place
so
that's
much
going
more
to take
inviting.
the dog, and if you have a fast rammy dog, they're just going to blow past it because they just want to run. You know, and like this is such a well-placed bird, though, because it forces the dog to slow down, like approach the fall and establish a hunt. Because if they don't establish a hunt at the front of the fall area, they're not getting the bird. You can't rebound from that by blowing over it and then put on a hunt that's going to produce it very well. That's a well-placed bird to me. And let's talk about how to teach that. Okay, so you could... There's a lot of options.
Let's have the visual just so that people really understand. You have a piece of a cover strip that is, to the dog's perspective, is coming at them and narrowing at the front. So it looks like to them, it's like the bow of a ship of cover.
Yeah.
The bow of a ship of cover, and this thing lands kind of where the smokestacks would be of the Titanic. But the gunner is 30 yards or 20 yards in the mowed hayfield, and this is thrown into that. So think about it. The dog is going to want to break one side of the ship or the other. They're not going to want to just like plow into the center of the Titanic.
The front. Yeah.
And it's like that is a well-placed bird. And I think this is good, and we should have said this at the beginning. A well-placed bird, and we're talking about the hard-to-find bird in this scenario.
Yeah.
Because it was probably easy. Like, I think I've seen the video.
Easy to get to.
Easy to get to.
But
it was really hard to find because of where the bird landed in the center of that little Titanic ship there. The Titanic was going to ram them in the face. And what they wanted to do, what dogs want to do when they get further away from you and they're less certain, is they want to take the path of least resistance in that case. Right. And so
that was not the path.
That was not the path. The path was to go through the cover at a very odd angle. Dogs do not like to run into cover on an angle. They have to be taught that that is good and okay. Dogs hate that. What they do is they kind of run the cover and they make a decision. Okay, I got to get in. And then they jump in. And it takes, from my experience, it takes a lot of throwing short marks. And you kind of like don't even make them aware of that until like they get further and further back. That's the way I've always taught angled corner or angled cover strips. But that is a well-placed bird. And I like what you said, or maybe I even said it, but I like the fact that if they take the easy path or the natural dog path, they end up not being able to find it. And
that's a great bird. That did all the teaching for you. I think the less you can intervene and then produce the desired outcome, whether you want the dog to find it or not, the better. Like, I don't want to find myself like handling or gunner help or whatever. You know, I would rather do like a full recall Or, if I need the gunner to help him punch in the cover to realize that it's there, that's fine. But then I'm going to rerun that bird and throw it again and really sweat him on the line and make him like pay attention. Yep, it's right there.
Or
that's it. We're looking at it.
Yeah, I found that throwing like 2 or 3 birds before you send
them
is such a valuable tool when teaching something like this, where it's like,
it's
hey,
validation. Yeah, they're like, yep, look, I was right.
Wait, should I go to that? Should I go to that spot?
It's right there.
It is right there. Oh my gosh, they're telling me it's right there.
And some dogs have a little bit of a trust issue sometimes, whether it's naturally or created by the handler or whatever. Like, I've just had really good success with just a silent throw right after that one hits the ground. It's like, dum, dum, oh, that's it. And they just really focus and trust that. It's like, that's the one.
Yep.
But then you're forcing them to make the decisions after that send. Like, go dig it out. You've been there once before, or you've been to other places and not produced a bird. Today I threw it down the shore that I had a dog come up on the shoreline, and I knew it would put him on the wrong side of this tree, and they just get lost. And I had Colin and Flint with me, and they're like, why are you letting him hunt? I'm like, because I'm going to let him hunt everywhere except where that bird is, and then pull him off of that shoreline. And with this particular dog, I let him get out early, and I let him hunt, and he got completely lost. Stopped him, brought him back into the water about halfway, and then I casted him down the shore. The dog takes a perfect line all the way to the bird, because I've taught this picture. This is just a new place. He was excited, whatever. And then he used a collar. So he expunged all possible resources, got jack diddly squat, got handled, which is never a good thing, and then goes to the bird, and then I rethrew that mark and did like a fake memory bird, like walked around in a circle, sent him. And he just bowed out a little fat and just poof, right into the bird. I was like, that's the best lesson I watched all day. That was awesome. And I remember it right now. I'm thinking about it fresh because I let the dog expunge all possible resources, put the factor back on, made him engage it, and then he got instantaneous reward without collar pressure. Yep. It's the best teaching you can do.
But I want to clarify 2 things. That dog knew what they were supposed to do.
Correct.
1, and 2, momentum was not a concern.
Correct. 100%.
Everything that you just explained there, if you have a dog that lacks momentum and lacks confidence, either one and the same in my mind, in this scenario. And
my dog was being rammy.
Yeah, rammy. There's dogs that just run to run, or just like, The point is, the dog knew what he was supposed to do and made the wrong decision in this case. And
there's 2 options. You can just go in there and kick his butt and tell him, nope, not doing that. Or you can let him fall on his face for a while and go, yeah, told you so. Just listen to me and I'll give you the birds. But that was a well-placed mark, because if he didn't challenge the factor, he couldn't find it. Those are the best lessons, I feel like.
The wind in that case didn't give it away. I feel
not
like,
at all.
I feel like a lot of times I see people say, oh, I love where that bird's placed. I'm like, but if they fail the factor, they go right to it.
Hello, here's the bird on a silver platter when you don't try. And that sucks. You have to give me effort.
The island bird with the wind going towards the gunner. Like, that's great to teach him. Like, yeah, okay. You need to learn that sometimes there's a bridge between, there's a thing of water, or maybe it's a cover bridge or whatever. I'm just making up something here.
Oh, a bridge bird separates the boys and the men, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like a really good bridge bird. That's a good bird.
I have a tiny little beef with you and Dan. In my mind, that bird that we threw on Saturday, you called it down the shore. You called the one from the bridge. The land bridge. The middle bird in our little fake field shop.
The middle one.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think that's a bridge bird.
It is a bridge bird. You know why it's a bridge bird? Because to the dog,
there was a piece of water. Yeah. I understand what you mean.
The dog's perspective, not your perspective. Like, yes, there is another bridge that you can walk around. But to the dog's mind, you're throwing that bird basically over a channel. Like in their mind, from where they approach that bird.
But is it a bridge bird if the dog from the line you got to think the dog's perspective from the line, that dog could not see that piece of water.
Doesn't matter if they can see it or not. It's there.
That's true. They could tell there was an angle back because of the shape of the arc.
Okay, so the reason that we're debating this is because Dan was like, "That's not a bridge bird." I'm like, "What are you talking about? That's totally a bridge bird." And
There was a piece of water in between the arc of the bird and the thrower, for sure.
That makes it a bridge bird.
Yeah, it does. It does.
No, it's not an island bridge bird. It's not an island bridge bird, which is what everybody thinks of. Okay, good. I feel a little vindicated now.
Well, I threw a bridge bird Sunday I did. And it was thrown from across the channel that I was like on an angle on. And then it was thrown into some cattails on the other side. Oh, sweet mark, because they had like 75 yards of land before they got in the water. And then they had plenty of time to either under or overthink this mark. There was plenty of opportunity. And my older dogs, I left the bird there and I ran it under the arc blind down this channel and then punched him out. And some of the dogs, when they were swimming past, were like, just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Looking over at it. Can I go there?
Yeah,
Can I go there? Can I go there?
I like that because it's showing that they're
aware of it.
Yeah. And then I had a couple other dogs that I threw that mark, and they're like, the gunner's over here. Am I supposed to swim down this channel? No, just go to the bird, dude.
Yeah. You know where the bird is.
There, go to the bird. Yeah.
Yep.
Good marks.
Yeah. So I should have led with like what is a bridge bird is when the gunner or where the bird comes from. I shouldn't say gunner. And everything we're talking about here is interchangeable between a hide and a white coat gunner, whether that's a stickman or an actually human being. Because a dog that has been trained primarily with hunt tests, I'm telling you, they look out. I don't care if that hide is 200 yards out there. They see that square box. They're like, bird's coming from there. It's no different.
It's a gun
whatever
station.
It's whatever they're trained. Whatever they're trained in. That's why I like to do as much natural birds coming from natural features as I can. Like I only own one holding blind because I don't like them. Because like when I'm teaching a hunt now, I wish I had more, but when I'm teaching a hunt test mark, I really try to place a bird where the bird itself is hard to get to and hard to find for a dog that I'm really trying to challenge. And I'm going to say this caveat again: you gotta, if you're going to work on really hard to get to and hard to find birds with really good birds that are placed well, you can't do them all the time. Like you got to do them 25% of the time or whatever your dog's confidence level can take. That's dog dependent. I don't throw them a lot, but when I do, I always have a different perspective on what I'm going to do with the dog. So if the dog like slightly fails a factor, but I think they're in a good enough position that if they like use their noggin a little bit, they'll find the bird. I'll let them work it out. I won't be as nitpicky as a black and white. Hey, everything tells you where this bird is. You can see it sitting out there and you're going to fail this factor. I'm going to give you a correction there. Anyway, I don't know why I said that, but I felt like it's important. Like we got to slow down here and just remember like, hey guys, we're talking about advanced stuff here. So make sure you have a confident dog before you're trying to do a lot of this.
And when the picture is great, like you said, you're giving them some slack, let them make some decisions and don't come down on them for trying to make a decision. Like they're trying. That's the key word, effort.
Yep.
You can't punish effort.
Yep.
And
that's something that Clark really taught me. Like of anything that Clark really, when I spent that summer on and off training with him, I was like, why didn't you correct the dog there? He's like, it's too gray. I can't know in my heart that dog failed the factor.
Yeah.
And I think I was thinking about AJ when we threw that mark, and his dog was not as like our dogs all went wide of that mark a little bit and worked their way into it down that channel.
Yeah, they still both came up underneath the arc,
which is not great. They didn't mark the bird.
No, they didn't. But
we're talking guys. Just so you know, we're talking 7 yards. We're talking 7 yards here. The dog.
We were trying to win.
We were trying to win that sucker. And just for the record, my baby won the thing. So just saying that she beat 2 5-time Grand Hunter Retriever champions
on home turf. Home turf.
On your home turf. Now, granted, she did have the gimme bird, but
yeah,
she got the belly
I
up
messed the
Mallard.
throw up. I was just trying to build your confidence
Yeah.
up so you'd run this cue.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that. I'm just showing up to cook. That's what I made $100
Hey, dude,
donation. I'm going to
pumped.
cook. It's going to be fun. It's great that a bunch of us are going.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
It's super cool, man. We all talk and hang out and stuff, and we sometimes train together. But I don't know of a time that all four of us have ran. Have we ever actually showed up to an event together?
Not all four of us. I have with Bill.
Obviously,
me and
me.
you. Yeah, but I'm excited for Nick. He's going to go take a stab at it with the Chessie.
Yeah,
and she's ready. She needs to go do it. I mean, he needs. There's only one way to get better as a handler, and it's by handling.
Mm-hmm. Learning from your mistakes. All right. So what was some of the other factors that you listed off? And I want to make sure we talk about them and just give people some inspiration. Oh, this is I know I accidentally. Not that I don't want to help Clark in them. The hunt test guide. Like, this is something that I really believe everybody should get a subscription to that, because if you just sit and binge watch Clark's setups, you will see him talk about why he put the birds where he did. And there's nothing better than that. We can sit here and talk about this and promote how important it is and talk about some scenarios that come to the top of our mind. But that's every day what one of the best hunt testers, SRS guys out there is doing on a daily and weekly basis. It's awesome. It's killer. And the other thing is, go and train with those guys. Take the 3-hour road trip. Go train with them. Watch them. Ask them, why did you put that bird there? And the other thing is, to help you learn how to place good birds, is run dogs. The more you run dogs
that you didn't set up.
Oh man, that has eaten my lunch. Oh my
that'll
goodness,
humble you so fast.
Man, I Vince and I alternate. So all right, Vince, this is what we're gonna do for the first set, and we set it up, and then we go to the second one, and I say, Vince, what do you want to do? And he set up this blind that I looked at it, and I was like, oh, my dogs can do this. But it had this tree that was that obstacle that I was talking about, but it had water in the picture, and everything to the left was safe, but the line was right off of that tree, and Winter was not a happy camper. She's like, I do not want to go there. Hello. Is that No Name or? Yeah, that's No Name. Hey, help us name this puppy that Tyler's got in his hands right now. He needs to name it. That puppy's 12 weeks old, and we don't have a name for it?
I'm thinking about maybe.
Maybe.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe sit.
Anyway, for those that are just listening, Tyler picked up a puppy because the puppy was going a little nutty. So anyway, I don't know where we were with that, but we're coming up to an hour. We could probably wrap this sucker up. But is there anything else you want to add, Tyler, before we wrap up?
Shouldering objects or obstacles, shouldering them. Pushing the dog into tight spots in the field that they just naturally are not going to gravitate towards. Look at the objects and look at a bush, a log, I don't know what other, a cover blob, right? Something that's uncomfortable to go through or near. Put something against it, and there's just so much though that you can do, and just really take the time. Don't go out to the field and look at it and go, oh, I could put a hide here. I could put another hide over here. I used to do that. That's how I know what I'm thinking, because you start somewhere, right? It's I could just put a hide over here. This would look like a season test. I'm gonna set this up. I find myself less and less training what my tests are going to look like, and really just working on skills development outside of that actual shape. Mm-hmm. I'm developing skills in one format and then applying them later in that situation.
Yep. All great stuff, man.
Yeah.
I love what you said about shouldering. That's a big thing that I'll never forget. This is another more of tip than anything. This really isn't a part of factors. Well, I guess it is, because if you watch this, if you learn to read this with dogs, you can read what they're telling you the factor is after you watched a few dogs do it. But dogs have a natural shouldering to them. And when Mason won the crown, he was interviewed on a podcast afterwards because for those that watched it, Durance won with Mason. And on the last bird of the crown, Mason was like really far over on the bird. He was really far offline going to that last retired gun. But he had enough room that a one whistle handle would win the crown. And Steven blew the whistle and gave the dog an over for a 10-year-old dog, and the dog took the over and went right to the bird on one cast. Insane. And they in the interview they asked him,
what a
like,
goated moment.
Dude, like that takes some cojones. To do
yeah,
that.
dude, that's balling.
But in Steven's defense, he's like, if I needed more than one, I wasn't gonna win. So it was go for it moment with this dog. Like he knew it was the last time that they were going to be able to do it. But what he said was, he's like, I knew Mason was going to give me the cast because I could tell he was trying to go that way by the way he was shouldering into it.
It was just flaring factor or whatever he had.
Whatever in his mind, he could tell that Mason wanted to go left, but he wasn't sure he should go left.
Yeah.
And so basically when he could read the dog by watching him shoulder into that and fight the factor, like, we'd have to ask Steven like exactly, but it was but the point was it caused me to look and say like, oh, I can see what he's talking about. I can see when dogs are trying to give me effort one way, but they're not really sure if they're supposed to be over there. It's like a confusion lean that they're like, I think I should be over here, but I'm not sure. So they're kind of doing it. So when he gave him that cast, he took it. It was a beautiful moment in SRS history. Anyway.
Well, that's just experienced dog handler. There's no other way to describe that other than like magic.
Yeah. It seemed like magic.
That's it. Like your brains are touching at that point.
Yeah. Like, hey, it's a little more left. You need to get over there. And I mean,
I've only experienced that on the truest form level, like that I personally have felt like with two different dogs, and that'd be Widow and Whiskey. Like I can tell you what Whiskey's gonna do before I get him out of the truck.
Yeah.
Like I see the setup. I'm like, yeah, he's gonna do that, or he's gonna take too much water here. You know, like the little down points that he's gonna have, but. Because he's predictable, you know, and he obviously had a lot of experience handling that dog and running it, and he knew his tendencies. Like that's awesome. That's what the SRS is about.
Yeah,
teamwork.
It's cool.
A lot of it. That
cool.
is awesome.
All right, well, let's wrap this sucker up. Thanks, man. It was a pleasure to chit chat, and that puppy looks like he or she is wants to eat your arm. It's pleasant. Very, very tasty, that white boy's arm. All right, so want to thank our sponsors, IHP's Man's Best Friend Calls. You guys can check out their website and see if there's something that you'd be interested in getting. mbfcalls.com. And also, thank you to all our other sponsors who support this podcast. And if you're out there, train a little bit more and give your dog the benefit of the doubt. See ya.